All right, what's up, guys? Sorry for the delay. We had some technical issues.
Hey everybody.
So it's me and Kojo tonight. I know you can't see us, but we're here. Um,
Yep.
I thought it'd be better to not worry about the video and just kind of focus on the audio and what you're seeing on my audio software. So
So,
what this is we're going to go over the latest album, The Final Door, song by song. Kind of get in depth with how we wrote it and recorded it and produced it. A heads up, none of us actually mixed this album. So what you'll be seeing is not like a full mix, but rather what they call stems. So you'll have like the drum stem, the vocal stem, and then you'll have like the rest of the song, basically.
yep.
And we can break it down. I think there's a lead guitar too, actually.
Yeah, and we'll talk about, how we went about writing these songs and how these songs like started and came together and stuff too.
Yeah. And hopefully your volume's okay. You seem a little soft.
I seem soft. You can right click my icon in Discord and adjust my volume.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, speak now.
All right? How's it now?
All right, that should be good.
Okay.
All right. So starting off, we're doing "Footsteps in the Dark," which isn't really a song, but I thought I'd talk about it anyways. Um, this is kind of an ambient track that I came up with to kind of set the mood for the album.
I always wondered, where'd you get the footstep sound effect from?
So all the sound effects I got from basically various sound effects sites on the internet.
Just like royalty free sound effects and stuff.
Some of them are royalty free. Some of them I actually paid for. Actually, a lot of
Oh.
them I actually paid for because I was very particular about which sounds were used.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of squishing noises. Those are like monster noises, basically. And a lot of them were like digitally manipulated after I got them to kind of get the exact tone I wanted. It was actually a fair amount of work. It wasn't exactly something that I just threw together in like 30 minutes or something. It took
Mm-hmm.
me the better part of like a whole day to actually get this the way I wanted it.
Now, are you sure that the sound from your DAW's coming through right now on stream? Do
It
you
should
see
be.
it flashing in Streamlabs?
You
Like
guys aren't
whammy
getting.
thinks it's not. Yeah, I don't hear it.
That's unfortunate because it's showing in my Streamlabs as it's playing. Hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. Streaming's hard, guys.
Yeah, getting your DAW to output sound at the same time that you're using Streamlabs is difficult.
Yeah, there's like hardware issues. You have to kind of get third-party software to kind of go around it. But I have no idea what could possibly be wrong if it's.
I mean, we could. It's not exactly the same thing, but if we have to in a quick fix, we could just play like the finished tracks and talk about those. Yeah, you can just play it off, your whatever music
Yeah,
player you
not
got.
quite the same.
It's not quite the same, but yeah, that's just a if we can't, get this fixed. But of course, let's try fixing this first.
What about now?
Can you play like a louder song? That'd be easier to tell. Oh wait, I think I hear it. Yeah, I hear it.
Okay, it's just really quiet.
Yeah, but before I definitely didn't hear it. Neither did Whammy. Yeah, he says it's all good.
All good now? Okay.
Thanks, Whammy.
All right, that's Footsteps in the Dark. Not really a whole lot to talk about with that one, to be honest. But it was a fun one to do.
Wasn't there some post on social media recently where that was like somebody's favorite song or something?
No, like some we have a few different like online radio stations that play our music. And they'll say like which ones they played today, and this was one of them. And I was like, what are you doing? Are you even like checking to see like which songs you're playing?
Oh, your mic's doing that like glitchy thing again. I don't know if your cable's coming loose or something.
So you said it was doing that last time, and like I checked the stream afterwards, and it was fine. So I'm wondering if it's just like maybe you're getting it from two sources or something. I don't know. Whammy, are you still here? Like, how's my mic sound?
Actually, yeah, it sounds fine on stream because I have the stream on at low volume. It sounds fine on stream. It's just in Discord where it sounds weird.
Okay.
So at least the audience won't hear it.
Okay. Cool. So I will move on to the first real song of the album, which is The Final Door. Close that.
So what Zelda song is this one based off of, Matt?
So for those of you out there who've played Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, this is
so
from
sorry.
That. Yeah. We apologize. No, it's an okay game. It's a very difficult game. It's not like any other Zelda game before or since. It's its own thing. But it has some really good songs on it, and this is one of them. I think most people know this song from Smash Brothers, though.
Yeah,
specifically
Hyrule Temple
Melee.
stage.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool how it's like a side scroller action RPG. Like if they did like better, more modern version.
Just a second. It's really really hot in my ears. So I can't actually hear
music?
you and music at the same time.
Yeah, it's not like overwhelmingly loud on stream.
Yeah, and no, it should be fine on stream. It's just like on my computer.
Uh-huh.
Just deal with it for now. Yeah, so this is based on the Palace theme from Zelda 2. A lot of the, why doesn't it work? Obviously, this theme here, the arpeggio, is very iconic.
Yeah, they're actually like it's a layer of harmony. I'm sure some of you can tell, but some of you might not know. So like two.
And this melody, of course.
Also, some of you might not know the person playing that lead there is Matt.
Yeah, so I play a few leads on the album. That being one of them, and I definitely need to find a way to lower the volume because I can't hear you at all. It's so loud. The best thing I can probably think of is turning it down here and then turning it up in the stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's Kojo there, doing the tapping.
Yeah.
Turn that down even more. Jesus, it's loud.
Oh, now it's actually too hard to hear it on stream, though.
Yeah, I'm moving it up.
Okay.
How's that? Sorry, guys. There's a lot of technical stuff going on here.
Yeah. Can you bump it up a little bit more?
A little bit more. Okay. That should be okay, right?
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Ooh, now you're real hot.
Oh, sorry. I upped my mic volume a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to make sure that I'm loud enough on stream.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, how did how long ago did this song start? Because it seems kind of like you had already started brainstorming it by the time I joined.
Yeah, this song was the first one we wrote for the album. Well, the first one I wrote for the album. Like a lot of our songs, it took a while for Lily to kind of figure out what she wanted to do with it, with her vocals. But the instrumental part of the album was largely the same for probably close to a year before the album came out.
Right?
Yeah.
I do remember the middle section was different in the past, but at some point it came together in this format for the most part, and then once Andy did his scratch drums for it, that's when I personally really felt I understood the song.
Yes, because I feel like this song is probably Andy's finest performance on the album. And a lot of people probably don't notice it because it blends so well with what's going on. But if you isolate it, you can really hear like what he's doing. And he has some absolutely crazy stuff going on. And I love
cool drum beat.
Yeah, I mean, that right there. Especially like the hi-hat sizzle he has going on. Now I love the mix for like the entire album, but I do feel like this song, the drums were a bit more buried than I would have liked, especially considering like how good they are.
On the final version, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, mixing is always kind of a difficult balancing act.
Yeah, it's a give and take. But just move forward a little bit. That drum beat is so good.
Yeah.
And I love, he always mixes it up. He doesn't like stick with the same beat for too long. He'll always like kind of modify it slightly during sections.
And Andy did say on our Q&A stream last time that this is one of his favorite songs to play off the album.
He did say that. I was actually kind of surprised because it always sounded so like difficult to play.
Yeah, I don't actually know if it's difficult or not for him.
I mean, that's true. He's a really good drummer, so it might be easy, but it's certainly, like, when I saw him play it for the first time in the studio, I was just blown away at what he was doing. I think it's this part with, like, double kick. Or maybe that was earlier. I think it was during, yeah, this part. Yeah. Now, originally, this section was going to be kind of drum fills between the stabs. But then I replaced it with guitar leads instead. Which, if you've seen us live, you'll notice we actually trade off there.
Yeah.
Section here.
And then this part is my solo.
Yeah, so I take like the first and third, and then Kojo takes the second, and then has a solo afterwards.
Yeah. I definitely want to like break down how I play my solos on this album at some point on stream, but I'm always like, I don't know how I would explain what I'm doing in certain parts of certain songs. I just kind of like, oh, it's just kind of this scale, and I'm sort of moving my fingers quickly through it.
You know, just guitar stuff. If you guys notice, I can actually mute Lily. The bass here is playing a modified version of the melody from the game.
Yep. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's slightly changed to fit in with the chord progression, but basically it's kind of a little subtle nod there.
Basically.
Yeah.
Bass. Is that a guitar in the background?
So, what that is it's guitar. It's me playing guitar, but it's also a choir. So it's kind of a blended guitar choir thing.
Okay.
Which I haven't been playing live. I keep forgetting it's there.
I mean, it's sort of like a background texture, so I guess it's up to you whether or not you want to.
Yeah, it's not like super necessary, and I wonder if like the rhythm guitar would suffer not being played by two guitars during that section or not.
Yeah, because I do think it sounds pretty cool the way we've been doing it live.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite endings of any of our songs. It's kind of a thing I do with a few of our songs where I will take the beginning part of the song from the game, and instead of putting it at the beginning of our song, which would be kind of obvious, I save it till the very end. So this song normally starts with the dun 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 dun, that thing in the game, but on our version it's at the end. So it's kind of like saving it.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I do it.
Also, go ahead.
I also do that same thing on Forsaken Tribe, where it's just da 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 da. That thing, just put it at the end, because it's like, I mean, everything about that song is iconic, but that's like, the opening everyone remembers.
Yeah. And I was just gonna say, this song is one of two songs on the album that has like gang vocals. So Sean, Matt, and I
let me go back to that.
Yell "Strike him down" during the last verse.
The ones left in your mind.
Yeah, I consider that the chorus. Wait, it's before that, isn't it?
Well, the chaos
Before that.
between you and victory,
Yeah, it's during this part.
or a bitter demise. This your chance to win the power. Strike him down in this fight.
Sounds so cool.
Well, the chaos.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun to do. We basically, it was me, Kojo, and Sean. We were in a room, just yelling our asses off, And I think he did like 4 overdubs of that, right?
Yeah, he layered us a few times.
Yeah. That's something new we've never done in the band before. But I'd love to do more of that.
Same.
Fun note about this song. Originally, it was supposed to be much longer. Instead of going back into the... oh, that's soloed. No. I'll talk about that section in a second because I forgot about that too. So, you hear the turnaround here. Originally, it was supposed to go back into the riff here afterwards. So another, like, 2 rounds of that riff. And then another part of, like, this section here. So, like, it would be like a second verse instead of just one verse. Which I kind of wish we still had because, like, I feel like that whole section that I just played is so good, and we only do it once. But
I feel like the song flows so well as is.
Oh, it does, and that's why I ended up cutting it. Because I really wanted everyone to feel like we were getting back to the Palace theme and not kind of like. I mean, it's a really good section. It's a really good original section that we wrote, but you know, you can milk things too far, I guess. Like, and it's cool just having the song feel kind of condensed and really focused.
Yeah, it feels like very much like a old school thrash song.
Yeah, which is funny because I'm not a huge thrash fan, but for some reason, like when I heard like the original version of this from the game, I was like, "Oh, this could be like a thrash song."
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
it's probably the first time I've heard this song interpreted this way.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, like
if people cover this, they usually don't go for like a high speed version, you know?
I guess like it just felt like it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works.
Yeah,
really
it works great. It's oh man, it's so hard to play, like for me, on rhythm guitar, just because it's so fast and it doesn't really let up like the entire time.
For me, the rhythm guitar parts are not difficult. It's doing the stretches for the tapping at the beginning is actually rough if I haven't warmed up at all. So I always need to make sure I'm warmed up first.
Yeah, and those do look really hard to do. That's why I made you do
it. Yeah, then the solo in the middle. Yeah, I mean, as long as I'm at least slightly warmed up, I can do the solo. The solo is not that hard in this song.
Yeah, I remember we had to work on it a bit though to get it just right.
Yeah, cause I tried a bunch of different ideas. I wasn't really sure what to do over that part. But I think what we ended up with works pretty well.
Oh, it's fantastic! Like you really nailed it.
Thank you.
But yeah, I can be on my own songs. I can be very picky about how things sound. Up to a point. It depends, like who I'm talking to. If it's Lily, I can only be so picky. Before she starts yelling at me. As it goes. But this section at the beginning, not the very beginning, but with the synth. Now originally the vocals were normal. They weren't, they didn't have that effect on it. And there was no synth there. It was completely synth free. It was just kind of guitar stabs. Very Iron Maiden. Like, I think it was like maybe The Trooper or something has something similar. I don't know. I forget which Iron Maiden song it is, but they kind of have those stabs. It might be Number of the Beast, actually. One of those songs. I was really inspired by Maiden at the time. Kind of a thrashier Maiden. But it was missing something, like...
Yeah, it felt a little empty. I think the way it is now is perfect.
Yeah, I feel like I had to fight for it a little bit. Like, when I first brought it up, everyone was like, I don't know. especially Lily. She kept calling it the Stranger Things synth part. But if you listen to it, I don't even know if you know this, Kojo, because I might have not mentioned it. That's the arpeggios from Zelda 1's dungeon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Just kind of threw them in there. Because I wanted something. I was like, well, you know what would be really cool? Just kind of have this little Easter egg. I love throwing Easter eggs into our songs. But
Yeah.
it's the exact arpeggio from Zelda 1. Like, if I slow it down, which I think I should be able to do pretty easily. Probably hear it.
And like,
I think it has to be even... Oh, wait, it didn't slow down. Let's do it here. I can't tell what's going on with this cluster over here. Okay. Let's lower this by half and see how that sounds.
okay.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Give it a second to calculate. Very digital. Yeah. The software's really good at it, but it takes a few seconds. You can see it down here. It's calculating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You hear it? Now in the game, it changes a little bit. So that's how it starts, and then it kind of walks down on like the bottom two notes.
Yeah.
But in this version, I just keep like the first four notes kind of just repeating. So little Easter egg there.
Yeah, we should send people on a Easter egg hunt at some point.
Oh, there's a lot. Like throughout all our songs, there's little Easter eggs. At least the ones I wrote, just because I love hiding shit like that. I did it a lot more on like the previous two releases. I didn't have a whole... I mean, I had a few songs on this album, but not as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only one... Well, this one in Forsaken Tribe, which I don't really count, because Forsaken Tribe was written so long ago.
Yeah.
Were the only ones I wrote solely... well, I wrote the instrumental parts solely by myself, and then Lily did her vocal melodies. And then I helped out with... I wrote a lot of Hero of Time and A Bloody History. We kind of split those.
Yeah, those two are very collaborative.
I'm going to bring up... Wait, is there anything more you want to talk about for this song?
No, I'm ready to go to the next song.
Okay. So we'll move on to Hero of Time. Another very fast-paced song.
Hero of Time is a song that started off as like Lily's vocal melodies first, right?
Yes, this is a Lily song. We have a few of
Yeah.
them. Let Me Show You the Night is also a Lily song. Those are songs that she brought to the table. She had a melody in mind, and then she wants us to kind of write parts under it, which is way, way more difficult than doing
it's
it
very
the opposite
difficult.
way. At least for us, obviously.
Yeah.
For her, it's easier. Loud again. Sorry, guys.
And this song is, as we were just saying, is one of the like collaborative songs. Lily brought it to the table. Matt started working on guitar stuff for it, and then at some point he was like, "I'm not sure what to do after this part of the song," or like, and Lily was like, "Oh, you guys can do whatever you want in the middle," and so I just sort of came up with a bunch of stuff in the middle.
Yeah,
And then
I got kind of burnt out with it. It's a fun song. I enjoy playing this live.
Yeah, this song's fun to play live.
I
I really like playing this one
I would
live.
not say it's my favorite song on the album. It's not. It's more power metal, and I'm not typically a power metal guy. I'm more into conceptual songs, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but A Bloody History is my favorite on the album, just because it has this very unique atmosphere to it that none of the other songs have.
Yeah.
But for this one, I mean, this is a live favorite already. Like, all the times we've played it live, like, people seem to really, really love it.
Yeah, and this is the only song, at least since I've joined the band, that I've seen a mosh pit form during one of the songs.
Yeah, it has that perfect middle section for that. We get mosh pits, though. I feel like Let Me Show You
Really?
the Night is another one that gets a mosh pit sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's happened since I've joined, other than with Hero of Time. At least not that I remember.
You can go back and check like the Magfest footage when we played, because I know a few pits.
Did people mosh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it the first show or the second show?
The big Magfest show.
Okay.
There wasn't enough people to form a mosh pit on like the Jam Space shows or whatever.
Yeah, I mean it was like 3 a.m. So.
Oh yeah, that one. I meant like sorry, I meant our big Magfest show. You weren't at that one.
Oh, in 2018. Okay,
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't there for that.
So I came up with this riff, although it was heavily dictated by Lily. She actually kind of like. What was that?
I was just gonna say I added the little octave thing on top. The
Oh yeah.
that thing. So, yeah, that
But what I came up with for this song was way different than what it is now. Like way different. Lily hated it, and it was still like a very thrashy guitar thing. But the thing is, when you're just given a vocal melody to write to, that melody is in a key, but you can write any number of chord progressions under it as long as it's still in key.
You know,
Like it'll sound
Be
fine.
anything.
It'll sound different each time, but like there's no right or wrong per se. But like she is very adamant about the sound she wanted, but it took her a while to really tell me like exactly what she wanted. I think eventually she gave me she actually vocalized the chord progression she wanted, and I took that and I turned it into a guitar riff. Yeah, Halloween is one of her favorite bands, and she will tell you that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good band. It's not one of my favorites. It's very much like a European metal sound.
It's not a band I'm very familiar with, other
Yeah.
than when Lily plays the songs in the car.
Yeah. But good picking up on that way. I mean, you nailed it, because she loves that band. I'm more into kind of classic metal like Iron Maiden and some thrash like Metallica. Like Rainbow is one of my favorite bands too, and that's kind of proto metal.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like modern metal bands, like I do really like Opeth and Dream Theater, but I don't find that those types of bands really come out in my writing that much.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not Opeth. Maybe a bit of Dream Theater here and there.
I think Opeth really comes out in my writing sometimes.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Your songs can get very dark.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to them. You know, like I when I started playing guitar is also around the time I got into that band.
Mm-hmm. It's a great band. I love listening to them.
Yeah,
But I've never really felt the need to kind of take what they do and use it with my own music.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that you bring that to the table. Should we tell them about how much it... Okay, so a lot of this song was difficult to write to. But the chorus... We had a big fight. Me and Lily had a huge fight about this chorus. Because that's not the original melody she came up with. The original melody she came up with, we did actually use, but it was only at this section at the end, which is here. so it doesn't go as high, but it doesn't resolve, and it really bugged me.
Mm-hmm.
Because we would have to, like, the chord progression under it, which
it ends on a B right now.
Yeah, like, imagine the chorus just ending like with that. Like, it doesn't resolve. Like, it doesn't feel like the ending of a chorus. It doesn't feel satisfying to me.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone has their own opinion, and like, it's still like a great vocal melody there, but I really felt strongly that she needed to land on the root, because it just feels more like, I know it's not the end of the song, like, you don't necessarily have to do that, but I felt for this chorus like it was kind of a necessary thing.
Yeah, I think it works, and the fact that she does do it differently at the end also works, you know. Because you're used to hearing it a certain way the first couple of times, but then at the end of the song, she does it differently.
Yeah, and it works really well there because it's not the end of the chorus. There's a second chorus after it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a compromise. I think she felt happier after we included that melody at some point. This is another song where the drums are really good. I'd like to kind of point those out. Let's mute that, and I love the intro Andy does. I think originally we were planning on doing... Yeah. We were originally going to do something different, I think. I was writing like a big intro to this song, and he was just like, why don't we do like a super quick drum fill? And
yeah, I feel like this is the kind of song that needs to just get right into it.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't written anything that I was absolutely tied to, so...
Yeah.
I think the part I really liked that he did was right before the breakdown, which is here.
So yeah, from here onwards for a while is all stuff I wrote.
Yeah. Yeah, I got all the power metal stuff, and I was getting kind of bored, so... Which is, it often happens, like, I would just get kind of fed up with a song while I'm writing it. And that's why it's good to have collaborators, because if you're burnt out, you can just hand it off to someone else and get kind of a fresh perspective on it.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy's drumming during the middle of the song is great.
Oh, something's off there. Well, I'm just gonna mute it.
What was that?
The drum part that I have separate isn't following the track.
Okay.
So it's unfortunate. Now I'm worried the guitar's probably off too. Let's see how that sounds. I still kind of want.
I think so, yeah.
Great solo.
Thank you. This is this solo, the first one here. Well, I guess technically it's the second solo in the song. This is one of the only solos that I've tabbed out at the same time that I recorded the solo. Like when I was doing the demo take for the solo, yeah, like I tabbed it out as I was doing it. So like I recorded a take, and then I was like, oh, that sounded good. And so I tabbed it out and then re-recorded it. And yeah, I think this is one of the only songs where I did that. In most of them, I improvised the solo and then went back and relearned it and tabbed out what I improvised.
Right. Well, I mean, whatever you did, it sounds great. The rhythm part under this was originally pretty different. I kind of changed it up like very last minute after you had already like recorded the solo and everything.
Yeah.
I was just like so unhappy with it because it was very boring. It was just kind of like chords, I think, right?
Yeah, it was just held open power chords, I think.
Yeah, that's lame. So I do like what I came up with there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here.
And I love how it's really like you can hear it really well. Which for some reason, like sometimes the rhythm parts can kind of get buried. I don't know why that is, and it's not just something like we had to deal with our latest producer or mixing engineer rather, but like previous engineers also. Just for some reason, like especially like during solos, certain things get buried.
Might be sidechain compression. Maybe the lead guitar is sidechained to the rhythm guitar, and so whenever the lead guitar is playing, it compresses the rhythm guitars, makes them quieter.
Yeah, could be.
But I don't know what their signal chain is.
Yeah, it's hard because like they obviously take up very similar frequencies because they're the same instrument.
Yeah.
So, and you want the lead guitar to obviously be heard very well. The worst of it is keyboards, though. Keyboards always seem to get the shaft whenever we work with an engineer. I always have to fight really hard to make sure the keyboards are heard.
It's because, like, to a lot of people, well, like in general, keyboards can very easily overpower everything. So you have to like put them at the exact right spot so that they're not too quiet but not too loud.
Exactly, and it really depends on what you want at any particular spot in the song, you know.
Yeah.
And an engineer isn't going to necessarily know that. That's kind of like up to the artist.
Yeah.
So, the person we worked with for this album, Drew Mazarik, he's great. He definitely listens a lot more than previous producers we've had.
Sorry about that. I don't know if you heard that phone. Did you?
Yeah, I heard it. You ruined the stream. So we'll probably be working with him some more because like he actually listens. He can be kind of literal with the suggestions, which I guess is a good thing because if you tell someone to do something, I guess you like you want the song
to be literal.
Yeah, like he does what we say, which is good, but also sometimes not good because sometimes we don't know what we want really, and obviously like. What we want most of all is for the song to be good at the end. Yeah. And sometimes our suggestions take us in the opposite direction of that. Not on purpose, but like, just trying to figure out like what sound we want here. Definitely a bigger problem in the past. We've gotten better about it. But that happens when you have 5 voices in a band all like trying to tell one producer what to do.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about this section. It's I guess some kind of bridge. I don't know what you'd call it.
Yeah.
The echo part Lily does, which isn't like a digital echo. That's actually her singing a separate part. That was added in the studio, kind of on the spot.
Yeah. It sounds cool.
Yeah. Originally, it was all at the same volume, which was a bit distracting, I thought. So I pushed him to kind of lower the volume on the echoes to kind of give it a bit more of a dynamic to
call and response. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you guys are familiar with the song, you come see us live, shout out the response part.
The second solo also really good.
Thanks.
I also changed the rhythm guitar into this one too.
Yeah.
Very
and added a keyboard here.
Yeah, I added the keyboard to keep the original chord progression because what I'm doing is basically just chugging on the E string.
Yeah.
Very much Four Horsemen by Metallica right there.
Mm-hmm.
Just those crazy fast triplets. Yeah, that's Hero Time. I don't know what else. Oh, we do the gang vocals again.
Yeah.
I think we decided beforehand that gang vocals needed to be here because Lily can't sing that.
She needs to take a breath somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be weird. Like, she could probably sing it, but it would sound terrible because she would just be kind of like spitting words out really quick.
Yeah.
So we decided beforehand gang vocals would be great here. And I think on Final Door, we kind of decided in the studio to just throw some in for that song.
Yeah.
This was a premeditated gang vocal. I don't know. Do you have anything else to talk about for this one?
I guess just real quick. My solo at the very beginning, the tapping solo.
Oh yeah, we can go to that.
Like at the really beginning of the song. It's like after the first chorus.
Yeah, very cool.
So yeah, it's short, but yeah, I think that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I remember you said it sounds kind of Animals as Leaders-esque.
Yeah, I mean they do a lot of tapping.
Yeah.
Very smooth, controlled tapping.
Yeah, I am nowhere near the skill level of Tosin Abasi, but I do like Animals as Leaders.
Yeah, I can hear the influence there. All right, you want to move on?
Sure, let's move on to Children of Old, right?
Yes, I was about to go to Enchantress. Forgot the order already. Make sure I turn down the volume.
Children of Old. Yeah. Children of Old is a song based primarily off the Ballad of the Goddess from Skyward Sword, which I've always thought is a good song. And this is actually the first song I ever wrote for Master Sword after joining. I joined the band in the summer of 2018, and after my first show with them in September 2018, I sort of had the urge to write something, and I knew I kind of wanted to do something with the Ballad of the Goddess. And so I wrote most of what you hear. The main thing that changed between the first version and the final version is the verse riff. The verse riff was originally something totally different. And like Lily didn't like it, nobody else really liked it. I remember Lily said it sounded like elevator music.
I actually liked it.
So, okay, well thank you. So I got rid of it and replaced it with something that I think actually sounds cool and I think fits the flow of the song well. I don't know if it would have been. I think ultimately it's for the best that the song turned out the way it did.
Yeah. I feel like it's a very it's a very polished song. I thought it would be a good single for a long time.
Thanks. Yeah, this song is fun to play. It's pretty easy to play. There are a lot of chords in it. It's not as much of a power chord song. There's a lot of 6-string or 5-string chords in it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Surprising when I was first learning it because they don't really stick out. I thought it did sound a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Like because of the distortion, it sounded a bit like some of the notes were off. But I got used to it. Just one of the things with all the harmonics that distortion adds, you can get some dissonance.
Yeah, for sure. And as time has gone on, I definitely I like to play, especially this song, with less distortion to help the chord really ring out properly.
Yeah.
And the way I play it has slightly changed over time, but the chorus is the main theme from the Ballad of the Goddess. The verses are totally new. The intro, once the whole band comes in, is original as well. And after the second chorus, I have a nod to the Song of Storms.
Yeah. Which is a big highlight of this song, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like the Ballad of the Goddess really comes through that much. In spots, like the chorus here, yeah. There's a bit of that melody, but it's also not a super famous Zelda melody like the Song of Storms is. So I feel like a lot of people, their ears perk up when they hear the Song of Storms. At least mine did when I first heard it there. And I added a lot underneath that to kind of boost it up in the production stage. I think, is it just one or is it two guitars that you have playing the lead there?
I think it's just one.
Okay, yeah, I thought so,
But I don't remember.
Because I added a second guitar there, doing the same lead, but with the pickup on the neck and kind of like the treble really rolled down. Just kind of fill it out a little
Fatten
bit.
it up, yeah.
Yeah, and then I added a synth that also plays the same melody.
Yeah. And if we go backwards a little bit to the pre-chorus, either one.
The pre-chorus.
I think the pre-chorus is a pretty cool riff.
Oh yeah, it's a sick riff.
And so it's like you bend and then like chug in between, and bend a couple notes and chug. Like it's a pretty cool riff, and it sort of builds up the tension before the chorus.
Yeah, definitely. This part after the Song of Storms, I'll be honest, I'm not quite happy with it, and I never really was. I felt like it was the weakest part of the song. I always thought maybe some spoken word there might be cool, something to make it more interesting, because it feels kind of just like it's just playing out time almost. And it picks up once the solo comes in, but I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think I can kind of see where you're coming from. Like I'm fine with it, but maybe we could have done a little bit more to build up the solo before it comes in.
Yeah, I mean, I tried. I did. That's actually the one section of the song that I actually kind of wrote. Like I didn't claim writing credit or anything.
It.
Yeah, because it's basically you had a kind of a riff going there, and then I wanted to do a kind of a walk up on keyboards, but there were some notes that didn't mesh. Yeah, so I had to kind of rewrite the rhythm guitar part in order for it to fit with what I wanted with the keyboards. So it's kind of almost like a mix between the two. And I like that. I like that general sound. It just still feels really empty. Like there's so much going on right before and right after. And this part is just kind of like, eh. But yeah, I wish we could have done some spoken word. Like I said, thought that would have been really cool. But Lily is really kind of, she pushes back on stuff like that have to do with like vocals. So I was a little hesitant to bring it up. I think we probably had a fight.
Yeah, speaking of which, it can be difficult to hear, but I actually am doing backing vocals during the chorus on the final version of the album for this song. Like, children of all the goddess chose.
You can kind of hear it there.
Yeah, if you've got headphones at home, guys, then yeah, you can probably hear it.
I mean, it didn't sound out of place, and that's kind of the best you can really ask for with backing vocals.
I mean, like because I was originally singing that line at the same octave she was, but I was like, but then it'll just kind of all mix in, so I decided to do it at a lower octave so that it would sit below all of her vocals.
Right. Yeah, it sounds good to me. She has a lot of backing vocals there too, so it kind of all blends together.
Yeah. The solo in this song is a short one, but I think it fits. It's pretty easy. It's just like a quick little tremolo picking thing with some hammer-ons.
You got a harmony in there.
Yeah.
No, that's one of my favorite solos of yours, probably.
Oh.
It's short, but it says something. If you know what I mean.
That's good.
Like it doesn't go on too long. It's like the perfect length, and it's memorable. So good job.
Thank you. Then the outro So live, Andy normally does double bass during the outro here.
Yeah, he did it in the studio.
Because it's hard. He needs like the momentum and the adrenaline.
Yeah, and I think this probably wasn't the first song he did either, was it?
I don't think so. I forgot what song he did first.
I feel like he was in the studio for like a lot of the day, and this was near the end. And he was
he was in the studio a long time.
So,
Andy recorded all the drums on the album in 2 days, by the way.
long days, very long days.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of what Andy does is good. I wouldn't say this is a standout drum song, but he plays perfectly for what the song needs.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kind of it's kind of a medium tempo song most of the time, and it's it's an easy song to play.
Yeah,
it's nice to have an easy one here and there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this song is easy for most of us live. I don't know. I'd have to get opinions because sometimes I overestimate how easy a song is for everyone else. For guitar, for rhythm guitar, it's definitely a very easy song.
Yeah.
Although some of the chord shapes were a bit weird at first, but once you get them down, they're fine.
Yeah.
I play a lot of power chords usually, so this song has some weird ones in there. What was it like? Well, I know you have a few major chords, but also
like the main chord progression.
There's like seventh chords, right?
Yeah, the main chord progression is like D minor 7, then C major, then like F major, and then C major. But the way I play that C major is like with open notes in there.
Yeah.
And then I
play it that way too because that was how it was tabbed. So
yeah.
Although I mean, sometimes I'll change it if I'm feeling lazy.
I do like open E string, then just 3 notes after that. I don't hold down like a low root for the C.
Do you have anything else?
And then the verses are just like sus2 chords.
Yeah, I love sus chords. So as soon as I heard those, I was like, yeah, very cool.
Yeah, very very images and words.
Yeah, very Rush, and Petrucci pretty much stole that from Alex Lifeson.
Yeah.
But it's great for bands that only have one guitarist because you have these really thick, huge chords, especially if you add like chorus or something.
Yeah.
You can really make those real big.
So that was Children of Old.
Great song. Moving on to Enchantress.
So this one's based off the Fairy Fountain theme that pretty much everybody who's even remotely familiar with
you guys all know this.
knows. This one started off from Sean. This is the one song on the album that he started and brought to the table. So he wrote this intro riff.
Yeah, he doesn't usually write a whole lot for us. In fact, this was like the first one he's ever written for us. I mean, he's had a few ideas, but not like full songs or even like half songs. Just kind of like, ideas that didn't quite make it. Now, I will say what he originally came to the table with is quite different from what it ended up being.
Yeah, this song probably went through the most permutations and like changes and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So, for example, like the verses here that are like clean, they used to be played with distorted guitars.
It was a very much like kind of a
it was kind of a staccato riff instead of this sort of flowing arpeggio thing.
Chuggy thing.
So I decided to play it clean and sort of arpeggiate it to mimic the rhythm of parts that come later in the song.
Yeah, there was some back and forth about that. There was a lot of back and forth for this song.
Oh, this is your favorite track, Lammy? That's cool. This one, we'll get to it later. This one has my favorite solo on the album. It's probably, really second favorite.
I find myself listening to this song more than I thought I would. Now that it's been out for a while. It was never my favorite, but like when we were working on it, I always thought it was kind of weak. But like during the production process, it got better and better, and like the final version ended up being a very good song.
Yeah, I think the final version of this song is very very strong. It has lots of different types of feels in the same song, you know.
Yeah, and like the verses were definitely way different. Lily added her vocal harmonies in the in the studio. Just I don't know if she planned them ahead of time or what, but she kind of just like threw them out there. We can actually isolate those.
Yeah, Whammy. The main riff. Yeah, Sean wrote that. It is definitely an earworm. It's a catchy riff, but it's very difficult to play.
It's the weirdest riff to play. I love what she did here with the harmonies.
Yeah.
Listen to her pleas and save her vanity from doom.
There's a few layers there. Yeah, this is a very tough song to play live. We've kind of just shelved it for now because it's just there's too many changes for like our tones. We have to do that a lot.
I played it live here on this channel. Was it last week or the week before? I think it was the week before. Yeah, and like constantly having to change effects with your foot, and then you also have to change my pickup selector.
Right, and you still have to like remain pretty focused playing that riff because it's not just something you can kind of like chill out and play like naturally because it's just you're flying over the neck.
Yeah.
So like I'm like hyper focused on that, and then I have to suddenly like change patches really quickly, like with no break whatsoever.
Yeah, so
very awkward.
Like once we are like playing live again, whenever that is, if we can automate the patch changes, that'll help a lot.
Yeah, and we've been discussing that. We've been discussing a lot of things. Like there's a lot of options we can do going forward to make the live experience a lot better.
Yeah, then the verse and chorus repeat again.
Yeah, and this is my favorite part of the song, I think. This part here. Because this is when the keyboards really come in. And like for this song especially, like the keyboards, they're my big contribution. Because I didn't write pretty much any of this song like as far as like
guitar stuff.
Yeah. But I was really focused on making this song sound like it had a real kind of attachment to the Fairy Fountain theme.
Yeah, and this is definitely a song that requires keyboards. Like, there's no way this song is going to happen without keyboards.
But it didn't at first. Like, Sean's original version didn't have keyboards here. It didn't have keyboards anywhere, as far as I remember. Or at least not, like,
Yeah, I mean, I doubt he was going to write the keyboard part for you.
Yeah.
He assumed you would just come up with
it. I love that there with the Mellotron. I'm a huge fan of Genesis, and I will admit I just flat out stole like that sound from Genesis. It's a very kind of a warm, enveloping, emotional choir. Sounds so cool there.
So yeah, originally there was no lead guitar here, so I just came up with a lead to put on top.
Yeah, there's no vocals either.
Yeah.
That was another thing Lily just kind of added in the studio. She added Zelda's Lullaby, which is, we're kind of playing around it with the instruments, but she just goes straight with it.
Yeah. This is definitely a song that like kept getting more and more ideas added to it as time went on. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's why like at first I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I was really kind of like irritated with it, I'll be honest. Because it like the main riff was cool, but it didn't sound like the Fairy Fountain. Like I never got Fairy Fountain vibes from it. So I was wondering like why is it there? And like the parts that are kind of quiet and atmospheric now, where kind of this. I mean, Sean brought his own influences in, and certainly that's something, I'm fine with, because, it gets stale if you just have your own. But they were kind of like, the word I'm going to use is like butt chuggy. Just like, because that's what it reminded me of, just like kind of like butt metal.
Huh.
And
I mean, the song was definitely heavier before than it is now.
Yeah,
and,
but like, what's that have to do with the fairy fountain?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like the way it turned out now is a better balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to Sean's credit, he was very accommodating. Certainly not like me with my songs. I can be very like stuck in the mud about what I want, and I can be bad about explaining what I want. And I feel like people don't get my songs often until like the very end, when everything kind of comes together.
I mean, that's the thing with any creative thing. It's hard for people to know what's going on in your head, Yeah. So like, it can be hard to direct somebody. It's like when you like somebody hires an artist and they're like, draw this picture in my mind that you can't see.
Right.
It's like, it's like nobody knows what you're going for, really.
Yeah. And that was kind of the case with A Bloody History, which we'll get to next. I won't talk too much about it right now because we're still in this song. But
so
move forward to the solo section. Well, let's talk about the Fairy Fountain section first, because
so yeah, during the Fairy Fountain section, you've got the keyboards, and then you've got Sean and I sort of trading off a counterpoint melody, doing the
which I think originally it was going to be all bass, right? And then,
yeah, it was gonna be all bass, and it was kind of difficult because Sean had to jump from like the lower frets all the way up to the higher.
Yeah, that was a hard one. I mean,
and then I was like, what if you do the lower part and I do the higher part? And so we tried trading it off, and it actually sounds really nice.
I think it sounds better. Like, it sounds more dynamic that way.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing with this song that just like improved with just brainstorming. It took me a while to get the keyboard sound for that right. I think it's actually 2 different octaves before that. But they blend so well, it sounds just like one keyboard. I think there's actually still a little bit of a keyboard you came up with too. Kind of in the background. Yeah, it's kind of a more of a chimey type sound. There's a lot of layers here.
Is it just like a chord? Was I just holding chords or something? I don't remember.
No, it was keyboards.
Like, yeah, but was I holding chords on the keyboard, or was I like?
I mean, I assumed you just plugged it in, like you plugged in the riff to your DAW and then kind of played with patches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably what happened.
You sent me a keyboard part for this, which was it's the part you hear,
mm-hmm.
except it was a much different instrument. I liked it, but I felt like it needed a lot more. So it's still there. It's in the background a little bit, kind of give it a bit of a chimey bell sound. It kind of blends in with Andy's ride cymbal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually ended up pretty close to how it sounds from the game. Honestly, I wouldn't see that as out of place in the Zelda game.
It sounds good. Then after the Fairy Fountain part comes a solo section, after a brief little vocal part.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that section real quick. Because it has my my Moog. You can hear it there. That was a lot of fun to play. A lot of production work too. Mm-hmm. Kind of that warm bass synth. And then you have the staccato part here. Really cool. And then the solo, which is Kojo's favorite. Also one of my favorites.
I also wrote the riff under the solo, which I think is a really cool riff. So it kind of sucks I don't play it. But
You played it on the recording.
yeah, I played it on the recording. I get to play it. It's a really fun riff to play. Okay, I don't actually know what key I'm playing in though. It's definitely like it's like I go back and forth between like F minor and like
Well,
C
I
sharp.
can't tell you what key the rhythm part is in because it sounds so. I mean, it's very. It's a lot of chromatic things going on.
Yeah, it's a weird. I would have to be holding my guitar to figure out exactly what key it is, but it was fun to write this solo. There was a couple parts that changed in it, but for the most part, it stayed the same from the demo to final.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting solo to play. There's like there's bends, there's a sweep picking part, there's like tremolo picking.
It sounds
There's a
very
harmony.
majestic, is the word I'd use.
Yeah.
Like, and it's perfect for this song because it kind of has that. It's almost like an otherworldly, huge sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like hyper aggressive. I originally wanted the keyboards to be much bigger, but I feel like they ended up fighting with the rhythm guitar a lot. It was really hard to get the balance right. This is one of the songs I was kind of disappointed in that I couldn't get the sound I really wanted there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of back and forth with our engineer.
Hi, Battle Coder. We're talking about
What's up, dude?
enchanters right now.
But you can hear the choir there. Like when I was kind of hoping for this gigantic, like the clouds open up, like this giant, like angelic choir halfway through the solo. Go back a little bit. And you can kind of hear it. It's even before that. Damn, this is a long solo.
It's not that long.
Okay. So you can hear the choir right about here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the dramatic punch I was hoping it would have. Because I really like the chords I came up with there. I think they're slightly different from what the guitars play. But it's all a give and take battle with engineering these songs. Not everything can be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like how it turned out.
Else? Because I mean, it pretty much just sort of repeats the earlier riffs after that.
There's a bit of a change here. I turned off the vocals so we can just hear the instruments.
Yeah, there's a more sort of subdued version of the main riff here.
Yeah, I do a kind of a chuggy thing, which you can't really hear with the vocals over top. I know, right? I realized right after it came out of my mouth. Oh, and yeah, I actually do a lead here. Although you do it live.
Yeah, I
funny.
do it live, but yeah, Matt put that lead there.
I was really unhappy with the ending. Because it originally was just kind of like that riff played twice with no changes whatsoever.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
think
why are we doing this?
It works now.
So yeah, like I tried to. I wish I had thought of it earlier because I could have gotten Andy to like pull back a lot for the first half, and then
Yeah, I was actually going to mention a lot of the changes we did to the song was after Andy recorded drums in the
Yeah,
studio.
it's unfortunate. And if we were a band with more money, we could have just got him back in the studio and re-recorded some of the parts we wanted. But recording the drums is like the most expensive part of the whole thing, besides like the actual mixing.
And like Andy's got to go and set up his drums there, and they got to like check everything in the room, the mics, the tuning of the drums.
It takes
it's
forever.
A whole process.
So it's not something. I mean, like, yeah, if we were like a professional band, we'd do it. We'd just set it up for like an hour's worth of overdubs. Why not? But it's a lot of time and money for a band of our size.
Yeah.
Great song though. Like overall, this is actually one of my favorites. Surprisingly, I know I shadow over it like the entire time we were talking about it.
Yeah, despite
but
what
I
Matt
can
was
only
saying,
I can
he
only
likes
do
the
that
song.
because like now it's my favorite. Not my favorite, but it's like it's in my probably top 3 or 4 for the album.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely like it a lot. So next is
Next is my favorite. Next is A Bloody History.
so this is a song that Matt started
Yeah, the
and
origins
like
of
it,
this
it was
song are interesting. And for this one, I left in a lot of stuff because I wanted to show you guys. I was really proud of some of the more textural parts of this song, which might not come across in the final version. I mean, it does, but to a lesser extent.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot here, and this is only a fraction. I took out the like guitars and stuff because they're in the final track, which is this one here. So you can hear them. It's just I want to isolate some of the keyboard parts.
Mhm. So yeah, so how did this song get started and how did it come together?
So I had a very, very specific idea in mind for this song. Not necessarily specific riffs, but a specific idea of how I wanted this song to go. I wanted a Sheikah song, but not like Sheikah from Breath of the Wild. Sheikah like during their darker period when the Shadow Temple was around. Kind of a backstory on that. So I wanted kind of the dark, oppressive feeling of the Shadow Temple, which you get in Ocarina of Time, but also the kind of Japanese vibe that the Sheikah have in their music, namely in Breath of the Wild. So kind of a combination of those two things. So almost like a gothic Japanese horror song. So I had that. It was a very clear image in my mind, even though I didn't have many riffs in my head for it.
Yeah,
So-
when Matt sent this to me, there were very few riffs at all at the time.
Yeah.
And so I just came up with a bunch of riffs that I sort of felt like that just sort of springboarded off of the original riffs he sent me,
Mhm.
and then I sent those riffs back to him, and then he like arranged it into a song. And
Yeah, I
then after Andy
basically-
recorded drums in the
I
studio,
basically,
we changed some of them.
I think I used probably the majority of the riffs you sent. There was a few I kind of just tossed. But the majority of the riffs you sent I thought were good.
Yeah, pretty much everything I put in that like riff soup that I sent you made it into the song in some form.
But I ended up copy and pasting it like all over like different places of the song. The intro hadn't been written. Like when we started, the intro was not a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually skip the intro and I'll play it later. Oh, and it's still loud. Sorry. This is
Yeah,
basically what
it's not loud for us. It's only for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is basically what I had. I had that tom rhythm, and then I had those 3 chords, which are from the game. That's the only part of this song which is actually from the game. Those are my chanting vocals right there. I don't do a whole lot of vocals on this album, but this is one of the songs where I had something in mind that I really wanted. That was kind of like an undead army chanting.
And during the intro of the album, we Andy actually layered the toms, those intro toms.
Yeah, there's a few layers there. Like one round of tom recording wasn't enough. I really wanted kind of like Lord of the Rings drums in the deep Moria type sound. I actually told our engineer that I want it to sound like fucking Lord of the Rings.
And live, Lily plays a tom during the intro, and actually
Yes.
throughout the song.
which is awesome. Like, it's such a
Yeah.
cool visual thing. That's really what I liked about it. Andy's the one who suggested it, and he suggested it just because he couldn't play the full tom part on his own. I didn't care about that. I mean, obviously, live performances are different than studio recordings. What I liked about it was the fact that it looks so cool when she does it.
Yeah.
And I really want to get us a like a highly decorative tom for her to play at some point.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool.
So
Dungeon, deep in the dark, we worship
this
our
part is
Maker.
still like the section that I sent Kojo. So this is still like my thing I wrote. Originally, of course, it was just instrumental, so no vocals. Take out Lily for a second. You can hear that choir really well now. I feel like I when I brought this to the band, like it got kind of a chilly reception for whatever reason.
Well, before like Andy had done drums, before Lily came up with any vocals for it, it was very hard to tell what part of the song was what. That's something I remember coming up in discussions a lot. Was like people didn't really know what the structure of the song was.
Yeah.
And like at first, I don't think we had this structure.
I had a
we
structure.
hadn't settled.
I mean,
Sure?
yes.
I don't remember.
No, this after you gave me those riffs and I came up with something, I had a very solid structure in my mind for months before Lily wrote to it. You hear my gutturals there.
Take the test to your nightmare.
That was fun.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I mean, this one is one of Matt's solos.
Yeah, this is actually me. This is probably the solo I'm proudest of on the album. It might.
Yeah, it sounds
it would
cool.
probably the only one I'd actually say is an actual solo. I think the other ones I would just say are leads. But yeah, that's kind of in my wheelhouse. A nice short kind of wah-ish thing. Moving back a little bit. I think it was after this section. That's when I was like, well, I don't know what to do with the rest of this song. Like, I know the vibe I want, but I don't know what, I don't have any riffs. Can't have a song without riffs. So I
Yeah,
sent
so
it to
yeah,
Kojo.
there's dun 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 dun. Yeah, that riff was definitely one of mine.
Yeah, that's the section after this. Ooh, but you can hear my my harpsichord. Let me actually isolate that. Where is it at? Oh, it's up here. So this is something you can't really hear in the final version, but like it's something I'm really proud of. It's this harpsichord part here. Like just very like gothic baroque.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
It's kind of tough. I did a lot of revisions on that to try to get it to fit with
Is it,
guitars.
like arpeggiated, or did you put it like one by one in a piano roll? Did you play it on with your hands on a keyboard?
No, I try to play as much of the keyboard parts as I can, just because it feels more legitimate. We were under a time crunch here, so I actually couldn't play this. I didn't have time to sit down and learn it. So it's written out. I wrote it out in Guitar Pro, and then I modified it on my piano roll here. Just kind of see it. It's a lot of notes.
Yeah.
It would have been a very tough thing to learn, and honestly, like I knew it probably wouldn't be a very pronounced feature of the song, so I kind of had to make a decision there whether I would learn it or not. And it's in the background. You don't really. It's just kind of a textural thing. I will unmute Lily. Feels nice to be able to mute her. Kidding. She knocked it out of the park. Like this is one of her best performances, I think.
Absolutely, and she didn't like this song at all for a very long time, as Matt alluded to earlier.
Yeah. Oh my God.
She couldn't come up with anything for a while, and then she did, and it's great.
Yeah, because the structure is weird. And there is a structure there, whether you believe me or not, but it's weird because it's not like there's not really a chorus. And I did that on purpose. I didn't want a chorus. I didn't feel like this song deserved to have a chorus.
Well, not that it didn't deserve to have a chorus, it didn't need a chorus.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I don't think every song needs to have a chorus necessarily.
Yeah, it gets predictable if you Yeah.
Yeah. If every song does verse chorus, yeah.
I fought really because this is one of my babies. I fought really hard to keep the structure intact. There was a lot of pushing, especially from Lily, to kind of change the structure up. Yeah, it's cool. I wish bands did more of this kind of thing, like more inside looks.
Yeah, because I always love to watch like those making of the album videos that bands do, because not a lot of them do it, and like just learning about how they put music together stuff. So yeah, we're happy to do this.
I love talking about what we do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that there are people out there like you, Battle Coder, who actually like appreciate, because you would be like there's some like people understand that like a lot of time and effort goes into like making music.
But they never see it, you know.
They don't see it, and like it's honestly more than you'd ever expect, I think. Like even I don't like look at a finished product from a band and like figure out like all the ins and outs of a song, you know?
Yeah.
As a musician, like even I can't really figure that out on a song by song basis from another band.
I mean, like we worked on this music for like about 10 months, you know, for this album.
Yeah, we basically stopped playing live shows, and we had a few, but not nearly as much as like the year before.
Yeah.
Just to get this out by Magfest 2020.
We'll probably have to edit out some of those fights.
I don't know. I mean, they seem to want to see us fight. I mean, there are definitely fights.
It's mostly Matt and Lily fighting, and the other three of us just kind of feeling awkward.
We're both very passionate people, and yeah, we come to heads a lot. We actually documented the previous album, Shadow and Steel.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't want to bring this up, but I am. It was part of the Kickstarter for the album that we documented, and we did, but the editing and all that ended up taking so long, and that it was kind of just scrapped. And I always felt bad about that, because people did. I don't know how many people at the time wanted to actually see the ins and outs, because our fan base wasn't that big, you know, during that period before Shadow and Steel. Before Shadow and Steel, we had one EP without Lily on it. I mean, it was nothing. We weren't the band we are today. But there is possibly footage out there of that. It's just not. It hasn't been edited, and not edited all the way, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the guy who recorded it actually still has it. So maybe it'll surface one day. No promises. All right, so. Oh, so there's a cool keyboard part here. Which is this part of the song I really liked, and I kept throwing stuff in there, and I actually got a little bit sassed by our engineer, saying we're putting too much in this section of the song. There's too much going on, all in the same kind of frequencies, and I'm like, oh, you can make it work, and he made it work. But let's see, mute that. So there's a mellotron sound. I think it's mellotron strings, and it's actually kind of it's a volume swell. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Let me turn it up. Right there.
Oh yeah, no.
Right here. So in my mind, that was supposed to represent the guillotines in the Shadow Temple.
Okay.
I actually think there might be kind of sounds in the backing music of the game that kind of a similar type of vibe, just kind of whooshing until like a sudden stop, and then another volume swell with a sudden stop.
Yeah, Battlecoder. I'm not sure if I noticed it before you.
No, like I said, I throw in Easter eggs all the fucking time into our songs, just kind of inspired by Zelda games.
Listen to their cries.
I like the again, going for Moria from Lord of the Rings right there. Mm-hmm. You can definitely hear the Japanese influences, especially on that riff. This one, yeah. There's a koto in there. It's a stringed Japanese instrument.
Ding, ding, ding,
yeah.
ding.
If you watch anime, you'll know it. Another great riff from Kojo.
Thank you.
One of my favorites. Originally, it was a little different. Andy ended up playing that song that section very kind of almost swung. And so we kind of, the riff was originally kind of a little bit more straightforward sounding. And then once he got his part in there, we kind of swung around with him.
Yeah.
But it turned out great. Little looser than the other riffs, which I like. Breaks it up a bit.
Yeah.
Not loose in a bad way. Got that great string sound in there.
Yeah.
This is another section that Andy mixes it up halfway through.
Yeah, I really like his drum beat there on the second half of it.
Here, why don't I isolate the drums so we can hear it?
I honestly don't know how he's doing that. Like, I can hear what he's doing, but I would not be able to do that.
And then he has the China symbol there.
Yeah. He's still doing all the other stuff.
Yeah. Like, I think he has a secret extra arm that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear the filter that we put on the drums there to kind of make it a bit more atmospheric during this section.
On the demo version, on this next part here, Lily hadn't finished the lyrics, so there's a part she would just go like da 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 da.
We all got used to it.
Yeah. Because like that's the version that I recorded, the guitar tracks to.
No, but yeah, it was always funny listening to that. Yeah, for whatever reason, and I really want to fix this for the next album, like I feel like his drum parts almost like blend in too well. Like he's doing some insane shit. Yeah. But for whatever reason, like when you hear it in the final track, it blends in so much you don't really notice how just utterly amazing his drum parts are.
Yeah, we'll have to try and make sure that they
I think
stand
there's
out.
probably too many rhythm guitar layers. We quad track the rhythm guitar, and so it's just a kind of a wall of distortion.
Yeah.
A tragedy from not so distant last. A truth disguised through crying eyes revealed. A horrid past behind these walls concealed.
This part was originally a choir, but it didn't really work. So I pulled out my my Moog synth and went to town on it.
Then here comes the odd time part. This part's mad.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah.
part.
Here, let me zoom in so you guys can see what's going on here. So this section is, if you care about this
13/8.
sort of thing, it's 13/8. You can count it out on the synth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I didn't count it right. It's hard to count to 13. How is it split up? I think it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
I counted as 6
1,
and
2,
7.
3, 1, 2, 3, something like that.
I do like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 4. Yeah, that's how I do. I always count it as 6 and 7.
I don't usually count. That's the thing. I play by feel. But I mean, I've heard this part so many times that I just know where it goes. And then you have this one bar of 5/8 here,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
which is just a repeat of this little ending tag on the 13. And then it goes into 11/8
1,
here,
2, 3,
so
1,
a
2,
slightly
3, 1,
different
2,
time
3.
signature.
Yeah, so then I just count like 3, 3, and 5, or I do 6 and 5.
Again, I don't count. So bad. And then back into 4 for this very... I don't know, when you were writing this, did you kind of have like a Japanese feel in mind? Or
No, I didn't think about anything at all.
because I feel like this is like the most outwardly, besides that one riff back there, like the most outwardly kind of Japanese feeling section.
Yeah, like what I was thinking when I wrote this part was like I wanted something that had a different mood than the rest of the riffs I had written, because like this was also part of the riffs that I sent to Matt before he arranged the song. And like I just like, okay, most of the song has been like dark and heavy. Let me go for something that sounds kind of bright but still kind of strange. So this part's like in major.
Yeah, honestly, this was like the last part I added. I wasn't sure I wanted to add it, honestly, because it's so much different from everything else in the song. But I realized it was a great palate cleanser.
Yeah, that's really what my motivation was with it. Like, needed something that was different in its mood than the rest.
Oh, I do want to point out that this section was mine. the odd time signature section.
Yeah, I said that at the beginning.
Oh, you did?
That part, yeah.
I missed it. I am very proud of it because I love prog, but I don't often write in super odd time signatures for whatever reason.
I feel like I used to more than I do now, but you know, it just sort of, it either just sort of happens on its own or it doesn't. Like I didn't mention it back with Children of Old, but that the like second or third riff is a weird time signature. The da 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 da.
That's like 5, right? 5/8, something like that.
I don't know. It goes back and forth between
I thought it was 5.
something and
but
something.
Maybe 5/4. I don't know. Songs in the past, man. You got to move forward.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to tell with the distortion, but there's a bunch of open strings being played along with this chord here.
Oh, yeah. You can hear it there.
I think it's a nice sounding chord. It's like, it's a C sharp power chord plus the open B and E strings.
You can hear the, I'm going to pronounce this instrument completely wrong. I think it's a shakuhachi.
Oh, shakuhachi, yeah.
You can hear it really well there. Yeah.
And there's just two guitars harmonizing melody on top there.
pretty much all the keyboards in this song I heavily distorted, just to kind of make them sound really worn in. In the mix, you don't really hear them as distorted, but it does change their EQ quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always thought that this part had kind of a Japanese feel to it, even before I added, the instruments. There's another coda there.
Glad it turned out that way, but I certainly wasn't necessarily thinking that.
Oh, I want to point out the guitar harmonies here because I really like those. Let's see. I think I have your.
Yeah, do you have them on separate tracks?
I thought I had your lead parts here. Yep. I think it's these two. You don't really hear them that well in the final version. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I felt they got a little bit buried.
It's such a cool harmony. This was the last song that was really worked on in the mixing stage. Sadly, I wish it was the first one he started with because it's one of the more complex ones. But he saved it for last and didn't get enough time to get it dialed in just perfectly. I mean, it still sounds great. Like I don't have many complaints, but
yeah,
I would have liked a bit more time.
Yeah, that is a cool harmony. I'm not sure what type of harmony it is.
Yeah, it was. I don't think I ever asked, but it's weird in a way that fits with the song.
Yeah, I would need to be holding my guitar in some kind of major harmony.
Yeah, you can't really hear it that well. I think he turned down the wrong track when I asked him to turn down like the main melody. I think he turned down the harmony instead.
For fear of rebellion, for future remorse, they murdered our brothers, they saw no recourse. The city asunder, our people now torn, those blinded by reverence, those buried
This part I
by
really like.
scorn. One champion now
Yeah, it's like a higher octave version of
yeah,
riff.
like it's like the song suddenly like opens up. And
yeah, because the bass is still low, but then the guitars go up an octave. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, and like it tells people, oh, we're not just going to like rehash the beginning. That like this is going to be a bit different.
those buried by scorn.
So Whammy has a question. This album's a lot fuller sounding than the last album. Do you attribute that to more keyboards and background stuff, or just better production?
It's
Both.
I'd say mainly better production. I was the audio engineer for the last album, and it was only my second thing I'd ever done. So I was learning along the way, and I think it turned out okay. It wasn't amazing, but it was okay. And this one was done like top to bottom, like totally professionally, by like a very well-known, respected engineer. I don't think he did a lot of production work. I wouldn't say, like I did most of the production work still. Like I'm the one who told him to turn this up, turn that down.
Yeah, he was really our sound and mixing engineer.
Yeah, but he did make sure it sounded professional. Like, so really happy working with him. And we'll probably continue working with him. I think we discussed that, and we're probably gonna work with him some more because like everyone we've talked to seems to really appreciate how well produced it was. But yeah, I love how the guitar opens up here. And then it goes back to this part for just a second. You're like, oh, are they going to repeat that? Like, nope, drum fill. And then into the ending.
We got the outro here.
So that's kind of like, so I'm going to talk about like writing techniques for just a second here. That's kind of like something I like to do a lot. Like subvert people's expectations when they're listening. Like, I feel like a lot of bands would just like they do the section over, like just how it was at the beginning, you know. But instead, we just do it once, and then and it keeps people's interest. Like people like to be surprised when they're listening to songs. Not too surprised, like it has to flow well. But if you do it right, like it can be just a very kind of fulfilling listening experience with the audience.
The way this song closes out kind of reminds me of Enter Sandman, in that Enter Sandman like builds up and then builds down. The way this song kind of builds up and then builds down.
Andy originally wanted to do something really nuts, like a very
he
kind of
Tool-esque, like
he was doing something fucking crazy. But for this song,
it was cool, but it didn't fit.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted this song to kind of like lose its energy, like it's actually dying at the end.
Hopefully, Andy will have a good place to use something like that in the future.
Yeah, it was a great part. Let me see. And this part is still really cool. So originally he had in mind something like crazy about right here. Instead he kind of pulls away, which is what I asked him to do. So, but again, it was for the benefit of the song.
Yeah.
If you guys listen here, he keeps calling this his John Bonham part. I know exactly what he means. This is fucking Immigrant Song. So now you guys will always hear Immigrant Song when you hear that section. But I mean, there's only so many drum riffs out there. You can't always be 100% original. Sometimes you get inspired by music.
Yeah, you gotta go with what fits that riff, I guess. You know,
and it fit really well. So, all right, I think that's I haven't talked about the intro. I wanted to save that because the intro was the last thing written for this, I think, or nearly the last thing written for it. And when I want to say this because Lily doesn't give me these kind of compliments very often, but when she heard this, she was like, "That's the best intro you've ever written," and it gets me ultra hyped for this song.
Yeah, it's rare to get such a compliment from Lily.
But yeah, like the build for this is so good, and I know that's kind of like tooting my own horn because I wrote it, but.
So where'd you get the sounds for that?
Okay, yeah, I wanted to talk about that because that's what most of these tracks here are. They're just a lot of them. I got them all online on various sites. Again, a lot of them I paid for just because I wanted very specific sounds, and you can't always get the ones you want for free. And I wanted it to be like totally legit. I didn't want to like kind of cut corners and like not pay people. They're all legit. They're all actually like, paid for sound effects. But let me solo some of these. Oh, thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. So this is with the drums gone. You can hear a bit better. A lot of like just insane sounding vocal effects. That's actually you hear the backwards choir. It's not even a choir. It's Buddhist monks chanting.
Oh.
But it's in reverse. I think this one. So let me isolate that one real quick. this is one of my big passions, sound design. I wanted to do sound design for video games for a long time. Still kind of do. You can hear it here. Very creepy.
Sounds like Dorman in Shadow of the Colossus, the voice that tells you to go slay the Colossi.
But if I do this, reverse. I have no idea what those chants are. Forgot to mute that flute.
Mute that flute.
Mute that flute. And there's some wind noises. There's some, the throat singing is really cool. Play that real quick. That's, instead of having like a bass synth or, instead of having like a bass synth or, like a bass guitar, I do this. That's, it's someone doing really low throat singing, and then I lowered it by like another few whole tones, and that's all like that's the human voice right there. I tried to get more of this in the mix, but he didn't push it up as much as I would have liked.
I see.
Especially like here. It's so creepy. So that's during the section. Let me unmute these. That's that section there. You can kind of hear it floating at the bottom there.
Yes, please do all those songs. And share them with your friends.
So that's, yeah, I love sound design, so that's a big thing for me, and I try to incorporate that into Master Sword when I can. And I think that's all I have to say for this song. I know that took a while. That was a long song, but you want to move on to
Sure.
Forgotten?
Yeah, let's move on to Forgotten in Stone.
The song I seem to always forget its name.
Yeah, well, the name did change a couple of times. So yeah, Forgotten in Stone is another one of the songs along with Children of Old. Forgotten in Stone is the other song that I wrote pretty much entirely alone. I think this is probably the third song I wrote for the band. I wrote this song towards the end of 2018. It's a song that I kind of wrote in a stream of consciousness, which is how I often write a lot of music. Is like I'm like, oh, I feel like I have an idea, and then I'll just sit in front of the computer and hit record and just program drums and record guitar parts until I get to the end of the song, or I run out of ideas. Sometimes the idea gets all the way to the end of a song. Sometimes I get stumped or lose the
I
spark.
find that so crazy because this sounds so like well composed. Like everything was intentional.
I mean, it's like I get into like a trance or a fugue state, and I'm like, I'll like record one riff, I'll be like, okay, I feel like this should come next, and then after that I'm like, okay, I feel like this should come next. I'm like, all right, I feel like this should come next. Okay, I feel like this part should come back here. All right, then I just kind of do that as I go. And so yeah, this song was written in one straight shot, and the original demo to the final version, the song structure is exactly the same. This is one that never changed.
Yeah.
All we did was add stuff on top. Like we added the orchestration from Brad Charles.
Oh,
did a
yeah.
great job with
Which
that.
I have that here separate, and I boosted it a little bit so you can actually hear it.
And this song is based off of the 2017 Breath of the Wild reveal trailer theme, which is a really cool song.
Originally, I was going to try to do the orchestration, or but I couldn't. I didn't have the right software. I think I couldn't get it to sound as good as it needed to sound. And like around the same time, we got a message from our friend Josh from A Sound of Thunder. He's like, "Hey, do you guys need a professional like orchestrator, arranger?" And I was like, well, actually, yes.
Yeah. Like everybody like knew immediately this was the song we wanted to have him do it on.
Yeah. So it was like, it just was, what would you call it? Like serendipity? Is that the right
Yeah.
word?
Yeah, like a great stroke of fortune.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, the first riff is like straight from the trailer theme, the dun 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 da, 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 with the we're just holding like these big chords underneath. This song's actually pretty easy to play on rhythm guitar.
It's so easy.
Yeah, Lily was surprised when we said that, but yeah, it's pretty easy to play on rhythm guitar. Oh, this is another song, Like a Bloody History, where Lily took a very long time to come up with lyrics for.
Oh my god. She wants you to change this song many, many times.
Yeah.
But
We just
I mean,
left
sometimes
it as
she's
is.
right about that. Like, I don't want to say like she's always like wrong in that situation, because a lot of times she is right. Like sometimes it does need to be
sometimes she's
changed.
right.
But I don't want to put words in your mouth, Kojo, but I assume it's similar to my position with like A Bloody History. Like you kind of knew like this is like how it should sound.
Yeah, like I didn't want any significant changes to the structure. I didn't want to change it much at all, and we thankfully didn't have to.
Yeah.
We didn't change it at all. But yeah, so yeah, she came up with some great vocals, and we'll point out some cool parts in her vocals a little bit later in the song. But yeah, it took her it took her months before she came up with vocals for it. But yeah, so yeah, that first riff is just from straight from the trailer. Then there's a clean part. I don't know if anybody noticed this, but if you can play that clean part at the beginning. Yeah. So it's like do 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 do. It's actually playing around with the main Breath of the Wild theme. It's the do do do.
I mean, yeah, I kind of noticed. I thought it was from there. Like I always was that something like original you came up with? 'Cause it does sound a lot like it.
It's an original Queen riff, but it is playing around with the notes from that main theme, Breath of the Wild, which is like like E, B, A, and F. I think those notes.
I feel
then-
like. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that here, like a distorted riff comes in, which is a fun. It's kind of a genty riff the way I play it, like pulling off and muting the strings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a genty version of an Opeth riff, pretty much.
Yeah, I kind of get that vibe. For the production side of things, like I was for that riff, like I don't know if we were exactly on the same page, but I definitely heard it like as something that kind of like hovers over it, as opposed to like going like super heavy there.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with that. I wasn't like wed to it one way or the other, which is why I never like complained about your idea. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Try
Yeah,
that.
I mean, well, you continue doing like the clean riff over it, so
Yeah.
I kind of like I wanted to bring in a tiny bit of heaviness, but still have kind of like the vibe of what was going on
so
before
that it sort of gradually increases until you get to the first chorus. And yes, Whammy, this entire album is played in standard tuning. Some songs use the 7th string also, in standard tuning. So the 7th string is B, a low B. Matt actually pitch shifts his guitar down because he's usually playing a 6th string.
Yeah, I have a Line 6 Helix, which has a very realistic pitch shift. You can't even tell.
So Bloody History uses a lot of the 7th string. Hero of Time uses some of it. Enchantress uses some of it. Final Door and Children of All don't use it at all. Does this song use it?
I don't use it, no.
Oh, I use it only during the riff where the main like melody plays a dun 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 da, 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 da. I go down to a low C power chord and a low D power chord on the 7th string.
I do not.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to. In fact, I wrote it on the tab so that you wouldn't, so that you would be playing an octave up from where I'm playing.
Gotcha.
So it would like sort of fill out, and then Sean goes down to the low octave with me. But yeah. But you could definitely play this song with just a 6th string. So now we come to the first chorus.
Who's to blame for what's to come? Who is the
Kind of like a Ramones.
Yeah, it's very
Chorus.
punky.
Yeah.
A lot of big open chords on guitar.
Yeah.
Played really like fast.
Strum really fast on like big chords, like power chord shaped with a bar chord.
It's
You
a
get that
great,
staccato
great
bridge in there.
chorus.
So I harmonize the octaves in between the da-da-da-da-da-da-da on every second and fourth iteration.
And I love how this comes out of it too. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. I'm not even going to pretend otherwise. This is probably right behind A Bloody History. These two are my favorites.
I'm happy to hear that because like when I first wrote this song, I was worried you guys might not like this because I was, it was only like the third song I had written for the band. I was so new in the band. I was like, oh no, I don't know if these guys would like this or not.
And I know it's one of the last songs on the album, but it's really sad when I see like our listening stats for this song aren't as high as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that's just
that's
what
just
happens when
the
it's
reality.
the last song.
Yeah. People don't like to sit and listen to the whole album. So, you people who are watching this or see the video, like, listen to the whole album. So yeah, if you can go back to the riff right before this for a second.
Which riff?
The da 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 da. So yeah, this riff, I just sort of hammer on all the way up to the, from like the low E string up to the A string. It's a kind of a weird riff. I couldn't even figure out how to tab it correctly.
Oh, you hammer it?
Because, yeah, I hammer on.
Oh, I alternate pick the whole thing, I think.
Oh. Well, we just learned something here. But yeah, I just hammer on.
I don't typically do a lot of... I love alternate picking. I find it just cleaner.
Yeah, I didn't want that riff to chug. I wanted it to be like smooth. If that makes any sense.
Well, I definitely chugged it.
Oh well, it's not a big deal. But yeah, I always just hammer on that riff. But yeah, it's
I think
it's a cool.
when it's blended together, it sounds good.
Yeah. So here we have this riff again.
I definitely feel like for you, for Andy, for Lily, this is like the song as far as like performances go. All three of you like fucking shredded.
So here's the call to the main Breath of the Wild theme. Pretty much exactly how it is in the trailer theme. It has that build up and then it cuts to this part where there's like some voiceover, and then it goes back to this, and then it goes to like the climactic part from the trailer. So like this melody's in that trailer theme.
And I want to play for a second, just the orchestration here because oh my god, I wish on like all these versions you can hear everything perfectly, which is it's never the case. You can't have everything perfect, everything like crystal clear, and something has to be more prominent than the others. And obviously like there's a vocal here, so like the vocals are going to get prominence. But just listen to what he did here. It's so good. I mean, that sounds pretty damn close to the original version.
Yeah. Yeah, Brad Charles did an excellent job with that orchestration.
But also, I want to point out Andy, because that's another one where, this whole song he just fucking shreds.
Yeah.
Let me add the drums to the orchestration. I think that might be the way to do it.
Yeah, that could be cool. And the guitar part here is just like octaves. There's a lower octave and a higher octave on that big part.
Yeah.
But when I play it live, I play it on the low octave a couple times and then go up to the high octave.
Clip in there.
Yeah, that's right. Andy said he would struggle doing double bass the entire time, so I said like try like stopping there on the third one, whatever that is, and doing a different thing.
I don't think that was a struggle. It was more of we needed to break it up, and that was my opinion,
Yeah.
anyways. Like double bass the whole time was just kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I think he originally was doing just accents there instead of like the
Yeah,
double
you're
bass.
just going like pop.
And then that was too empty sounding, so
Yeah.
I was trying to find like a middle ground.
Yeah. And I really like the way that riff ends and leads into
Yeah, which I'll say, yeah, the drums and orchestration together are great. This part for me, like producing it, was one of the more difficult sections to bridge. Because it's so intense there, and then it kind of just goes back to like guitar and drums and whatever. And Lily does this crazy vocal thing, which was also added in the studio, like all those vocal harmonies. But it still wasn't big enough, so I had to compose an entire like choir section here.
Yeah.
And once that was in there, it finally like, okay, it actually works now.
And between Enchantress and this song, those two are my favorite guitar solos in the album.
You improvised this solo, right?
Yes, this entire solo was improvised on the demo, and then here on the the album version, I just did it again. I just learned what I had improvised on the demo and played it again. Pretty much. There is one phrase that's improvised, and I always improvise it live. I'll point out when we get there. This is my favorite part of the solo. It's fun.
I mean, for me, like when it changes tempo, it just takes off.
Here, this phrase I always improvise, so it's different every time.
I really.
Yeah. And then here, it's back to like the same. It's just that one short little part. That descending run as I go down, I change it slightly every time.
Yeah,
And I
that's.
feel like the solo actually goes by pretty quickly, even though it seems long.
No, it's the perfect length for me.
And it might be surprising to people, but that solo is actually not difficult for me to play. So yeah, I usually play solos note for note, except for that one where there's that one very short phrase that I will improvise that one part of the solo every time.
Yeah.
But my background is in like improvisation. Like before playing in this band, I rarely bothered to learn solos of mine. I would just improvise stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I played in like jam bands in high school and stuff. Like I just improvised a lot.
We're definitely not a jam band, and that's I felt like it might have been like slightly something you weren't used to when you joined. But I mean,
It wasn't a big deal. Like I can, like Lily said in our Q&A, I can deal with either format of either being in a jam improvisational group or being in a group where we all just sort of like write stuff and then like sort of put stuff together first before we really play it. doesn't
Right.
make a huge difference for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge improviser myself. I really like to sit down and make sure everything's like perfect. But that's just me. Like I understand the appeal, and like my favorite guitarist is Richie Blackmore, who does nothing but improvise. He improvises everything. He improvises his rhythm parts.
And yeah, like I like to sometimes, like I usually will, of course, write out my riffs, but of course, like I said, they're usually written in a stream of consciousness, and then I'll just learn them better and just re-record them, But I don't know, I can do either improvisational or like sort of planning stuff out.
Right. Yeah, that's a fantastic solo. I noticed that's a real crowd pleaser live. Like that's when people kind of get up to you and they're like, "Oh yeah," and then like they're like doing the hand gestures, like.
Yeah, people.
What do you
really
call
get
that
into
hand
that one.
gesture when you're like waving your fingers, like pulling the solo out of you?
I don't know, like they're, you guys know what we mean.
Yeah, there's probably a
I know
name
what
for
you
it. I
mean.
don't know it.
Yeah, I know what you call it. The tickler.
Sure.
But yeah, that's definitely the solo on the album where I get to show off the most. I'm kind of restrained on a lot of the other ones, but like on that one, I can just show off.
Yeah, and it's super easy for me, so that's like one of the parts of the set where I can kind of like actually move around and not have to worry as much about playing something perfectly, because again, it's kind of like these big open chords, and it's pretty easy. So and then I love Lily coming back in.
Do you wonder who the ancients prophesied to bank
So yeah, the solo was over the chorus riff, so we just go right back into the chorus here.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I struggled to figure out how this song was supposed to go for a long time until Lily came up with her part.
Yeah, I remember.
Like,
I remember you being confused about it.
Yeah, because like your solo just kind of stops there, and then it's just like the rhythm part continues, and I'm like, well, what's supposed to happen here?
Yeah, I mean, what happened? What was supposed to happen is what happens. Is I imagine Lily coming back in and singing whatever chorus she would eventually come up with.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't even aware that was supposed to be the chorus. I like how it's like a few bars shorter than the previous one, though. So she kind of
only goes 3 times this time. Like one from after my solo ends to where Lily's singing ends, it's just 3 bars or 3 repetitions.
So it's kind of unexpected where she ends it, and I like that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot I can say about this ending. I will say, first off, that what you guys hear is like nothing remotely like what it was when Kojo wrote it. I like most of the rest of the song, yeah, it was pretty much the same. But this section, like the underlying chords were there, but like everything else wasn't.
Yeah.
So what happened
when I make demos, I just have programmed drums, and obviously Lily's not on it yet, so everything kind of changed later.
And the orchestration wasn't. I mean, you had like the basic kind of
I had the basic strings.
But what ended up happening was first Andy was like, okay, I'll turn this into a drum show off section, and we were like, oh, that's so cool, and let's just make it a big drum thing. And that's kind of what it was supposed to be. Just like Andy. No vocals.
Yeah, he's doing a bunch of fills and improvisations here towards the end.
Like Lily originally was just going to do the I don't know what you'd call it. I always thought it was kind of a chorus, but the other part's the chorus. So
like
whatever.
I guess you call it a refrain.
Sure. She was just going to do it like normal, and that's it. And then in the studio, she was like, "What if I went up?" And we were like, "Oh, that could be interesting." And then she did, and then it's like, what the fuck?
And she holds it.
And we were just like, wow. Because I was not expecting that. It's like a very kind of like iced earth type thing going on.
But she starts doing some flourishes here.
And for me, this I will be 100% honest here. Like, I listened to this on the way home from recording, and like I teared up. Like, it was so fucking good. It was so like emotional.
Thanks, Battle Coder,
Yeah,
for
thanks,
gifting
man.
a sub to Whammy.
Like my jaw just hit the floor when I heard like the initial recording. It wasn't even mixed yet. It was like loosely mixed. It was like right after recording it. And Lily's performance there just like brought me to tears. And that does not happen very often for me.
Yeah, she really killed it.
But that was on top of what Andy initially was going to. Well, he did do it. Like, it was just going to be like a kind of a show off drum section where Andy gets to, you know, do his thing. Very much like what's that Dream Theater song at the end of Scenes from a Memory, where it's just kind of like they play the same riff over and
Finally
over.
Home.
Yeah,
Finally Free.
and it's just like the only thing that's really different is Mike Portnoy changes up his drum part.
Yeah.
Which I was really on board with. Forward a little bit. Hang on, let me put the orchestration back in there so you guys can tell where everything's at. But focus on the drums.
And the audience always seems to get a kick out of Andy and Lily going crazy at the end, too.
You don't really hear much of this like in the final version just because so much is going on.
Those ghost notes.
Yeah. Yeah, again, like, that's something we really want to focus on with the next album, just making sure the drum parts are crystal clear so you can actually hear perfectly what Andy's doing, because they're always so good, and for some
Yeah.
reason they kind of get lost in the mix. Let's hear that back with just everything normal. This was the part that always made me tear up, the Sleep Now and Dream, because like I went straight to like Zelda and the whole situation, you know, and Zelda putting Link to sleep. You got the little guitar lead at the end there.
Yep. I'm glad that we ended the song this way, because I remember for a while you didn't like the way the song ended, because it was before we had like Andy doing all the flourishes,
Right, before we had any of
Lily
that.
doing the stuff.
Yeah.
But,
No, like I
yeah,
didn't hear it. Like I thought it was kind of boring just going back to this and just playing it out forever.
yeah, I mean, and in fact, on the original demo, like we went back to this riff, but like just twice, because I didn't actually know how to end the song either. I wasn't sure. But so that's where, having human beings come and do their thing makes it just sort of come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my idea was to keep going with the faster section before this, and kind of doing a similar thing where it's just kind of improvising over it. But this is a much better choice because it slows down so you can actually kind of be more focused about what you're doing. Yeah. And like what Lily ended up doing wasn't even in the back of my mind. Like that wasn't something I thought would happen. I didn't expect it to happen. I didn't expect her to even be singing for most of that.
Yeah.
So when she pulled it out, it was just kind of like, okay, this is quite possibly one of the best things we've ever done. This ending here.
This song is kind of unique for Lily in that she kept adding more vocal parts as time went on. Like obviously, like she did that a bit to like Enchantress and some of the others, but like she initially didn't sing over the da 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 da. She came up with that later at some point during like band practice, and then so she just kept adding stuff, and it really helped, make the song feel more complete.
Yeah, that song's a straight up masterpiece, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how it.
And I'm fine saying that because I really only played on it. I didn't write it.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, I really, really like that's a song that even if I wasn't in the band, I would just listen to all the time.
That makes me happy.
All right, so let's do Forsaken Tribe real quick.
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular to say about Forsaken Tribe because it was written before I joined the band. In fact, it was written before anybody joined the band besides Matt.
Yep.
The only thing I can say is that this is one of the first 2 songs I learned because I learned it to audition for the band, and I do like the song a lot. It's fun to play, but that's kind of the extent of my thoughts.
Forsaken Tribe it's fun to listen to because this is totally from my perspective, but it's such an old song. It's one of my first tries at doing the Master Sword sound, where you're kind of mixing Zelda melodies with original music, and it's fun to see like how we've progressed with that since, because I feel like this song is a bit on the nose. It's a great song and like a lot of people love it, which I'm happy about.
It's definitely more obvious than how like the Final Door album is, but yeah, it still holds up at the same time.
Yeah, and it's a fun one to play live. It's very energetic.
Yeah. So this is another song that uses the 7th string.
What was that?
This is another song that uses the 7th string on the guitar.
Yeah, especially at the beginning there. I think I use the 7th string for the beginning, but live I just I kind of do like ghosted notes instead, or muted notes, or notes without I don't know what I'm saying.
do you play like straight fourths or something?
No, I play. I do play a lot of fourths, but instead of like doing some of those low chugging things that are in the riff, I'll just play like completely like I can't remember the term, the dead notes. So it's just kind of a percussive thing. So yeah, I don't mess up your notes, but I still kind of am there. But originally, yeah, I played it on 7. This is me on keyboards. I did actually like record this. It's not just programmed.
And so yeah, this came out as a single in 2018.
Death Note.
So this is the last thing that Corey recorded for the band, right?
Yeah, this was the very last thing he did. So this is his swan song. He already had one leg out. I was honestly surprised he wanted to do this. I asked him, like, are you still doing like the music video and all that? He's like, yeah. I don't know if you guys have heard the original, but Nina Osagueda from A Sound of Thunder actually sang on the very first version of this.
And since this version wasn't quite done when I was like auditioning for the band, I learned to the original version.
Oh, I forgot about that. I do feel like this is a good song to kind of introduce people to Master Sword with, especially like the Zelda fans.
Yes.
Just because like they can hear what we're doing. Some of the other songs are a bit more. It's not as noticeable.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I prefer, but each
you gotta have
a
few of the Zelda crowd pleasers, you know.
Though he claimed what he wished in spoils, driven by no fear of mortal coil, and though chaos reigned after dark,
We did change the verse there from the original. Some of you longtime fans might have noticed.
Yeah, there used to be like a palm muted thing.
Yeah, which was just too similar to everything else going on, because a lot of it has a very similar kind of chord progression. So I added a bunch of synth there instead.
Yeah, and live I just play clean guitar chords during the verse.
Oh, and this is one of the... I do some backing vocals sometimes. This is one of those examples where you can hear my backing vocals.
I actually never noticed.
deadly harem to rock the lands.
Kind of a dwarven thing going on there.
Mm-hmm.
This is one
the
part.
hardest part of the song for me.
Yeah, it's really hard for me too, honestly. Because that was written, like, it's pretty easy to play on keyboards. It's kind of a little awkward on guitar. And it never sounds like the way I want it, because I always would rather a keyboard there. But it's one of those things that it's the lead melody, and you can't just kind of put that on a backing track or something.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't agree with that. So, if you've seen us live, you know I play this on guitar.
It's that third chord that always messes me up.
What was that?
It's an awkward one to finger, the third chord during that part.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've played around with that before. I feel like the rhythm of that is also kind of just a little difficult for me, anyways. It's gotten better over the years, but like that was like when this was first released and we were doing live shows. That was always like this one was one of the harder ones for me, just because that rhythm has to be so super tight.
Awkward to finger.
You can hear me again. It's like a half growl.
And then here's this solo, which is a really cool solo by Corey.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of the better solos he's done with the band. I mean, he's done a lot of great solos when he was in the band.
Yeah, I mean, it's great lead guitarist.
But this one was definitely one of the ones that I really liked.
It's really fun to play, and it's pretty easy. And it sounds good. So it's like, it's a triple trifecta.
Yeah. I like how he throws in a little bit of Gerudo Valley.
Yeah. And this is like my favorite part of the song. Too.
Yeah.
I always feel pumped. Like right after you come off the high of playing the solos and this part happens.
Lily comes in magically. And again, that thing where I'll take the start of the song and put it at the very end as kind of a I don't know, like it's almost like a tease, like it never happens throughout the song, and then at the very end you get it.
Yeah.
But I do like this song a lot. Like I feel like it holds up pretty damn well, considering.
I agree. It sounds great. It's fun to play. The crowd always likes it.
I just want to point out Andy's part. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is during the solo, I think. You can hear how he changes it up like very frequently.
Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, it might be one of the fastest like thrash beats I've heard him play there.
Yeah.
At the very end.
I almost want to put up like just Andy's isolated drum parts.
I was thinking about that earlier. Yeah, we should ask him if he would be cool with that.
I don't know why he wouldn't,
that'd
but
be cool.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, well, that's the album, guys.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this album breakdown. I don't know when, but at some point I'd like to like break down some of the like riffs and solos I wrote for this album, like on stream.
Yeah, go for
with
it,
my
man.
guitar in hand and show you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be down for watching that. I want to do this again with Shadow and Steel at some point. With those, I actually mixed them, so I can get a bit more in depth about that whole process. Again, like all of these, they're just stems. They're not the actual like mix tracks because I didn't mix it, so I don't have those.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I'll be streaming some more Shadow of the Colossus. We're in the second half of the game on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And so come by for that. If you're watching this and you aren't following us, make sure to follow so you can see more stuff from us. We play music, play games. So yeah, it's a fun time.
Sometimes. Most of the time.
Yeah.
I think we're fun. Yeah, thanks for coming, and we'll catch you later. Bye, guys.